Have you ever been curious about how an album is made? Have you ever wondered about how your favourite band has recorded their album? How their guitar was recorded? How did their voice get onto the CD? Well, we're going to show you today. Welcome to a typical day here in GMAX Studios. My name is Stephen Grane. I am the sound production coordinator here, and you're going to get a little bit of an insight into what we do here every day at GMAX Studios.
Today's been recording with Alistair Turrell, guitarist who's actually in the music course here at GMAC. The recording is of a folky kind of song, bluesy a bit. Alistair plays lap steel guitar and I'm playing drums and bass on it as well. And it's a pretty cool experience. It's not really music I'm used to and it's been pretty fun, yeah.
Right, so most of your sound is going to come from where?
From here, and yes, it's all from this cone basically, it's all from around here.
Right.
But we usually get a good sound from somewhere around one end of the cone.
Right. So what's the point in having the mic pointing down towards here?
There is no point.
There is no point. So where should we move it? If we move it up towards here, we're only going to end up picking up something similar. Bear in mind we already have a pickup inside his guitar.
True.
Because how many mics have we got in Ali at the minute?
Three.
Three, not two. Because it's a pickup in there as well. Most people would turn around and say, hey, let's take this mic out and we'll turn around and we put it up somewhere here. But while it looks good visually, we're actually doing the same thing twice. So should we move it maybe a little bit further away from Ali? And then we'll start to pick up a little bit of the ambience in the room.
Yep.
So maybe if we go up higher in the air and maybe come up a little bit further away from him, we pick up what's resonating from his guitar. Maybe if we went somewhere, I don't know, about here, we're going to get a similar sound. But you've got the sound resonating all the way up. At the minute we're on top of him. Not that we're smothering, but we're going to get that sharpness in that. It's going to sound very deep. Whereas the wear up, come up even higher, Nick.
Stands.
Stand.
You stand.
We can go up more again. You can still go up more. Come in closer to him as well. Come in even closer. Yeah. Now come down. So now we're on top of him and we're further away from him. So we're going to get two different sounds. So our next step now is to go in and listen.
We noticed that towards the end, dynamically, you were playing it harder, so it did clip a couple of times on the track.
Oh, okay.
But, and there was probably just a couple of times there that you could tell you just missed picking a note here or there. But
yeah.
Apart from that, it was pretty good.
Cool. All right. No worries.
Real good start to the day. Now we just got to put the layers on.
Cool. What will we like?
With the bass guitar, we simply DI'd the bass guitar. It meant we had one feed coming straight into the console, and we also sent a feed into the isolation room. That meant it was going into a bass cab, and we simply mic'd up the cab in 3 different ways. So we had 4 feeds altogether. So when it came to the production phase, at the diploma level, there's a very clear split between the recording phase and the production phase. So when the student meets the production phase, they can very clearly have 4 different microphone and DI techniques that they can use to produce their recordings. Next. What way do you want to go with the bass, guys? How are we going to record it?
Just through the Avalon.
Might go through the Avalon. Maybe you might grab a bass amp as well. You know, as I read already, they're generally going to go somewhere along the lines of, we're going to go on like this, say like that. Better off probably putting him like that. Like, it doesn't really matter for once, the one time. We're just trying to pick up the same sound. That's all we're looking for. Does everybody understand the setup?
Yep.
The bass guitar is going to stay here. We're going to DI them. We're going to put them straight into the 737. Get a lovely warm sound off them. But we're also going to send them into the isolation room, into the amp, and mic them 3 times. So how many channels are we going to end up with?
4.
Sure. What 4 channels are you going to end up with?
Right, we're going to have the DI, the 3 mics.
That's 4, yeah.
Yeah.
So what channels do you recommend we use? Bearing in mind that we already have 3 for alleys, acoustic, alleys, lap steel, sorry. Alleys in 1, 2 and 3.
So we'll put him in 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. Easiest. Make us nice and easy for us.
Okay.
Right. So we go for it.
Do you have
Up
a
to you
black
guys.
extra? No, yes.
Was that
No.
turned off yet?
But what we'll do is we put a lead out here and we put it over into one of the returns, and it means the guys can get your signal in the isolation bit, and then they have you going into the amp. The minute your headphones are coming out through bot number 1, Shane is in there trying to get everything working from the isolation room, and then when he's got everything working in the isolation room, you come back in, you troubleshoot from in here on the control room. Nick is trying to play the bass drum so we can hear it in there. Is that going to twist? So we've got 3 of them positioned lovely.
Yep.
They're going to pick up very similar things.
Yep.
One thing that we could change is if we move this one round a little bit and turn it off axis.
Yep.
An old trick. And see if it sounds. You can still hear the guys in the studio. This mic will have a different sound than this one, even though they're sitting in very similar positions.
Yep.
Because this one's going straight at it. This one's coming off axis. Right. Come on, we go back in. Is there anything in the room that can shake? Because the bass is going to very easily vibrate everything.
There's nothing that's majorly going to bother it.
No.
I suppose we can move the chair out of the way because it doesn't really need to be there, but
We'll play a trick on the guys. I wonder will he tune his guitar before he starts? Because he has to tune to be in tune with the lap steel play. Let's go, Jay.
I just want to be able to see Alistair's guitar wave as well while I'm playing.
Yes, of course. So, go over to the right hand side, Shane. And yeah, that's the one. Throw all of them up to medium. Do you want to maybe try 30 seconds? And then we will record. And Nick, are you happy to start?
Now,
Yeah.
I'd rather tune first, but other than that, yeah.
Right, so why are you going to tune?
Why? So I'm not out of tune with the guitar.
How are you going to tune?
Alistair has a tuner in his bag which he tuned his guitar with as well.
Tell me why you guys are using the same tuner.
Because sometimes different tuners can be a tiny bit out.
Right.
So if you use the same one on both guitars then, and we'll both be in the same tune.
The whole song is consistent the whole way through. Yeah, spot on, spot on. So you're going to go with the guide vocal?
Signal,
Yeah.
but
Lovely,
Yeah, sure.
lovely.
If it's in the guide anyway, we might as well. Ah, gypsy woman,
Won't stop for no one.
Is that how loud you sing? Do you want the metronome? Just
That should be right.
She ain't ever gonna love me. She ain't ever gonna care. And I'm sure she ain't gonna show me. Oh no, you don't go down there. The drums is probably one of the most complicated things to mic if you make it complicated as a sound engineer. One of the best things you can get into a studio is a good drummer that understands how to tune his drums. Once you have a drum kit that is in tune, it can make your life very easy. Close miking is when a microphone is sitting right next to a drum. When I say right next, I generally mean sitting right over the drum. Aside from close miking, you also have two overheads that hang directly over the drum kit as a whole, and you also have room mics.
Room mics are good for recording drums, especially, I think. So I have two of them in the room with the drum kit, usually spaced apart pretty far from each other, maybe on one side of the room, and it just creates a real ambient effect. It can actually alter the whole sound of the whole record completely, so it doesn't just necessarily change the sound of the drums, even though it does, but it can have a huge impact on the whole song altogether.
When you mix all of these techniques together, then you can come into the production phase. And it's very important what happens at the production phase, because you might have to filter out a lot of spill on the drum kit. That's when we have to teach the student an awful lot of stuff regarding the techniques and the technologies they learned in the recording phase. It is not a very short process. It takes a long time to learn how to mic up a drum kit, and then, unfortunately, an even longer time to learn how to produce it. And all the microphones that the students are going to use, and I'm laying them out for them, and they're going to have to select the correct drums that they need to go on. It'll be up to them to decide where they go. But of course you can always select the wrong microphone for the wrong drum, and in such a high quality setup that can be a disaster. Alright guys, Nick, what are you going for now? The rack tom, is it?
Yep.
And you're using an MD, what is that? An MD421?
Yep. MD421 is a microphone by the brand Sennheiser, cardioid microphone that has 5 different settings. You can set it to speech or music, so you can use it for different things such as toms on the drums, a guitar, a saxophone, but then you can use it for speech as well. That's why it has a speech setting. When you're recording it, you usually leave it on, I would leave it on music, just keeps everything completely natural more so, and doesn't filter out anything that you wouldn't want. But live, it's good to maybe change the settings a little bit when you can't change it afterwards like you can when you're recording.
How's it mix in your headphones? What do you want?
I don't want any of the drums, just the click track and early song when I'm recording.
So a lot of our students that come into our courses, what they do is, many people try to record instruments in different places, but there's 2 main ways to record instruments. And there's 2 really defined approaches. Some people have a naturalist approach, where they try to maybe set up a microphone or microphones almost hanging over like an orchestra. They try to pick up everything naturally. Like, for instance, if you're going to record maybe a saxophone, you try to go into a room where there's natural reverb in the room. An echo is another word for reverb. A lot of people would understand. And you try to pick up that echo. A lot of people would think you would put a mic maybe right next to the saxophone. Maybe 2 mics for a variety of reasons. But you can also maybe place a third mic away from the saxophone to pick up the ambience of the room. That would be a typical naturalist approach. And look, we're just going to try something different, Andy. Because I notice you have a tendency to do what most saxophone players do live.
Move around.
Yeah, but almost hit the mic
Yeah.
with your fingers.
Yeah.
You're used to doing it live, but you don't normally have a second mic in your face, which is good. I want to get your audio from that side of the mic,
Okay.
not from both sides. We want to see what the waveform is like, given what happened the last time. And if you don't like it, you just put it straight back in this.
Yep.
Alright. But as recording technology evolves, there's also room for electronics, pop music. There's DSP, a thing called digital signal processing, where you can manipulate sounds. There's a variety of ways to also make reverb and echo. We can make it on a computer now. We could record a saxophone with 1 mic and make it sound like it is in a room. As we have young students coming into our courses every day, we need to teach them the 2 ways to do this and let them decide which way they think is best for the production. That's a beautiful natural echo. Sounds like he's in a big hall. Like if you solo, you take the other 2 out of it. He's got a natural echo on its own. Right. You want to tell him I'm going to give him a bit of the song and... So altogether the students will accumulate 36 tracks before they start to add in any auxiliary tracks, before they start to bus anything. That will also include, with the lap steel guitar, we would have used the DI 3 mics for its rhythm parts, its lead parts. That's obviously for the same reasons as the bass guitar. It's a wonderful process for the student from step 1 all the way over to the very end of the recording phase before they even get to sit down here and listen through the monitors. When you have your CD almost produced and you have it mastered, before you are finished, listen to it somewhere else as many times as possible and then consider finishing it. So all in all, the students get a wonderful process here on how to produce the CD. That's just the audio production. Before they bring in any other units, I think you got a wonderful insight on the technical hardware side of things. And I hope you really did enjoy the day working on it.
She ain't ever gonna love me. She ain't ever gonna care. And I'm sure she ain't gonna show me. Oh no, you don't go down there. Gypsy woman won't stop for no one, but she'll sit right down in the back of your mind. Black snake's gonna bite. You drag him out from under his stone. gypsy woman won't stop for no one. She'll sit right down in the back of your mind. Gypsy woman won't stop for no one, but you'll sit right down in the back of your mind. Black snake's gonna bite if you drag him on out of his hole. If you walk right on by, oh, he's gonna leave you alone. Stop for no one. Stop for no one. She'll sit right down in the back of your mind. Gypsy woman. Gypsy woman. Won't stop for no one. Stop for no one. But she'll sit right down